Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. So today's reading I'm hoping is going to be more fun than anything, though often when I say that we get some very serious or very deep messages from Spirit. So I guess I can't tell Spirit what to say. I can only set up a structure for a reading that hopefully will have some sort of joy and fun and sort of light moments within it. What we're looking at is messages from your heart, and the lens through which we're looking at it is music. I think music is very, very close to the heart. We all probably associate many songs with great emotions in our life and particular times in our lives and so forth. So I think it's a really good metaphor to get the various things that your heart might want to be saying to you at the moment. So we're going to sort of start with setting the scene with a musical person, and this has been shuffled and asked for Spirit for the three piles for one that really represents the sort of nature almost of the soundtrack that we're going to look at. We're going to have some songs from around about the 1980s, 1990s, I think, in the particular oracle that I'm going to use around that, which we'll explore for what that's saying, and we'll bring that together. And then we're going to have a bit of a look at what else your heart wants to say. If you had a whole soundtrack, you're going to have some quirky stuff, you're going to have some deep stuff, you're going to have some spiritual uplifting stuff, you're going to have some shadow introspective stuff. So we're just going to look at all the flavors and energies that your heart might want to talk to you about, and then bring it all together at the end. So hopefully it is going to be fun, but even looking at like one of the choices that Spirit had in terms of a representation of the style of music, I think, there will be some depth to this as well. So hopefully you'll enjoy it anyway. So I'm just going to put down the numbers. And as I say, what I did was to start to set the scene, I used the music oracles, and I just asked Spirit to give me three, just shuffle and randomly give me three musical icons that we could look at for setting some of the scene. And under this we have the jukebox oracle thing with the songs that I was talking about. So pile number one has Beyonce. So Beyonce, big pop, sort of female power, though it doesn't have to be sort of about gender, sort of a kind of a sense of a queenly energy, that kind of thing could draw you. Pile number two has Patti Smith, and as I say, very sort of passionate, very sort of introspective, very raw, very real. And then we have pile number three with Elvis Presley, the original iconoclast, a mixture of kind of spiritual with the gospel sort of sound, with the sort of groundbreaking, sort of more sexualized sort of energy. So really interesting choices Spirit has here that are going to be part of the flavour of this, but it will nuance with what else we have. So it may be that if you particularly like one of those musicians that draws you, it may be the imagery, you may go with the number, you may want to go to more than one reading, and that's obviously up to you as well too, because there might be sort of aspects that your heart wants to talk to you across a couple of different musical genres or musical sort of soundtracks. So you do you, as always. When you know what reading or readings you want to go to, I've got the timestamps in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome, pile one, to your reading. So you've come to the reading with Beyonce, and as I say, Beyonce to me sort of speaks of sort of big pop, very, very sort of bright, not necessarily always happy, but very sort of large energy, I guess is what I would say, around the heart. I think your heart is very expressive, it's very dramatic, it's very sure of its own sovereignty. Beyonce is very much a symbol of that. Her advice here that might be part of your soundtrack is confidence can be the most powerful aphrodisiac. So I think you are very confident. I think your heart is confident. You know what you want. And that kind of shows with some of this as well too. And you're prepared to stand in your truth of that, which also shows with these parts of the soundtrack. And I think you're very attractive. I think you draw people in. So it'll make it very interesting, in particular with this song when I get to it. She says, be both everywhere and nowhere at once. And I think that's a sort of a sense of reaching out into the collective. So I think that on a spiritual level, and it'll be interesting to see what we get as we go through the reading, you do connect out. And that's also interesting around that here and now card there as well. And she says, when someone sings from the heart, don't go tone deaf. So that may be a bit of advice because of the love as a battlefield. So let's break each of these down. So we have three songs here that kind of, maybe you would think of these as the hits from your soundtrack, and they are talking to particular messages from your heart. So if your heart is talking to you about your sovereignty, your power, your confidence, and your sort of connection with others, which I think is what we get from that energy with Beyonce. Firstly, Love is a Battlefield. So it's a Pat Benatar song. I think this is picking up that when someone sings from the heart, don't go tone deaf. And to some degree, the energy of power around this. This would suggest to me that that in terms of love and in terms of your heart at the moment, there is a strong sense of I will stand in my truth, and I will be sovereign to myself, but I do recognize that there are some sort of challenges. So I think that we're going to see when we look at the tarot around that, where the challenges might be for your heart and for your love nature and for all the things that the heart sort of means to you and all that your heart might be trying to say to you. So I think that this is really picking up the strength of Beyonce. So that energy is interesting. We've also got I Want You Back. Now, why I say I feel that connects to the powerful aphrodisiac and also to some degree the tone deaf. It could be that there is someone you want back. There could be an ex, but I wouldn't mind betting with the energy of Beyonce that actually there's someone who wants to be back with you, either as a lover or as a friend. So it will be interesting to see what we get with this, but I feel this may be more a message that's coming to you. And we are going to look at that with tarot, like what messages is your heart sending out to others and what messages are coming to you. I feel this might be someone who's interested in you, either romantically or friendship-wise or something like that. There's something, and it's interesting with these two. It might have been after some form of breakup, argument, something like that. And then we have here and now. And I think this is the sovereignty thing. This is be both everywhere and nowhere at once. I feel there's a sense that your heart is very clear and you live in the present. So there's something here from the past that is still part of your soundtrack, but I feel like it's being triggered by an external party, whereas I think you are very much in the here and now and you know who you are. So the overarching sense I have about your soundtrack is of a powerful person who knows who they are, very attractive for that reason, maybe has dealt with some pushback in relationships because of that power, and has people around who want to maybe draw them back into things. And as I say, it doesn't have to be romance. It could be sort of arguments. It could be family patterns. It could be anything. But you've already worked out, to be sovereign to yourself and in the here and now. So I think that this is a very powerful energy of your heart. Your heart is very powerful. So let's get a little bit more information with tarot for you. So we're going to get 3 cards for each of these songs. So that we get a little bit more information about what, as I say, if these were the hits from your soundtrack, from your album, what are the messages that your heart is bringing you from this song? So when we look at Love as a Battlefield, we're looking at what is this battle that you've been dealing with, or why would there be an energy, or why would you potentially sing about a battle in terms of love? What is your heart trying to say to you about this? Page of Cups reversed, 4 of Wands, the Hierophant. Okay, so that's interesting. I mean, this could touch on more than just romantic love, and I think the fact that we've got the 4 of Wands there could be sort of friendships, teams that you work with, family, anything where there is sort of like a group of people. So there's something about a group of people associated with this, but there's also something to do with, I think, a difference of opinion about how to express love. Because the Hierophant here suggests to me that you or a partner, and this doesn't have to be romantic, though I think for many it may be, had a different view, either about things like, should you get married, what are your different sort of faiths, what are your beliefs, things like that. And because of the page reversed here, there's a sense where you or the other party didn't feel that they could fully express what they wanted because of maybe even like a family. There could have been a family or cultural thing that was involved in this about what was the appropriate or who was the appropriate person to be with. So it's possible with some of this, because I do get a sense that there's something external about this, that the battlefield more comes to you, but you're strong within it. It may be that for some of you, this is about a love that you had that you couldn't express because of other people's views. That's possible. Or it could be, as I say, that you had a particular view about what you wanted in terms of being in a love partnership or a friendship or whatever it is. But let's talk about love partnership, and your partner had a different view. I had a friend once who was very much in love with her boyfriend, and he was very much in love with her, but he did not believe in marriage and she really wanted marriage. And I think, they're still together and all of that kind of thing. Their love was very genuine, but there was always this sort of underlying sense of almost disappointment that my friend had to deal with because of that difference. So it's that kind of energy. It has something to do with belief structures. Other people are involved in one way or another, though I don't feel it's like a third party. This isn't an energy of like a love triangle. This is more belief structures, people that one is around, and the The issue around this is how do you express truly what you want emotionally? And as I say, that could have been you, it could have been someone, you know, because we've got I want you back here. And I really feel this is more likely to be someone else wanting to reconnect with you. And it could be, doesn't even have to be a partner. You might have decided to be with the partner and then split from a family thing, and your family might want a reconnection. It's just some sort of energy like that we're looking at. So let's see what I want you back, what your heart is trying to say with this song. 8 of Cups reversed. World reversed. 10 of Swords reversed. Well, this is definitely unfinished business. Somebody, and I do think this is external, this doesn't feel like you. I mean, it is possible, I have to say, that you may want someone that you got separated from, and you find it very hard to let that go. It's just that Beyonce suggests to me there's such a strength there. Even if that's the case, I think you're very strong in dealing with it. But my overriding feeling for most of you that have come here, there is someone who there's unfinished business with, who has not worked through the emotional stuff and who wants to relieve pain in some way. So as I say, it could be an ex or something like that where you got separated by others and they want you back. They feel that that's unfinished. But it could also be someone who got in the way in some way and you actually walked away from them. Because I do still get this sort of sense of strength who really wants to kind of reconnect. There's a lot of sort of a feeling of guilt or whatever, but there's some energy around that. And your heart's, I think, wanting to let you know that this is their issue rather than yours, but it's going to be up to you. You could relieve the pain to some degree, but they, whatever it was, I think they're still stuck in their view about it. So you need to make a decision about whether or not, if you let them back into your life, whether, what would be the conditions, because it could be that you just end up in this battle again. And if it's an ex who wants to be back with you, whatever this battle is, I don't think they've shifted from their emotional position. So it would only be if you felt you could. Otherwise, it's sort of like you just need to be aware of that energy. Then we have here and now. So you don't really want to be drawn into this past stuff, I don't think. So what is your heart trying to say to you about the here and now? We have the 2 of Wands. The 6 of Swords reversed, the 9 of Cups. Okay, yeah, this is very much a Beyonce energy, very much. I feel like this is saying that you know you are strong enough. You don't even have to know what your destination is. You're just taking it step at a time with 2 of Wands, doing what you want to do, what is powerful and expressive and passionate for you. You don't even have a set destination. The only thing you know is that you want to enjoy your life. So this feels a lot like, whether it's around love, and it's very likely to be, but you know, it could be around friendships, work, family issues, any of those sort of things. Whatever this is, I think that this has been a bit hard won, but you've gone through a situation where there was a lot of restriction around what you should love, who you should care about, what you should do, what you should want to do, whatever it might be. And you have actually strongly enough stood in your power and you've moved away from it. And there's still a pullback from others around this. But you're very clear, and this is very positive. You're very clear that the only thing that really matters at the moment, and your heart is affirming this to you, is that each step you take takes you towards your joy. You don't have to have an ultimate destination around this at the moment. So it could be, you know, if this is around love and you sort of left somebody or, you know, got separated, then you know, you could potentially, if it was separated by others, you could find your way back, but you shouldn't be thinking about that as the outcome. You should just be thinking about what makes you happy, and if that's meant to happen, it will happen. And if you have separated from someone by your own choice, then each step, without having a set criteria, like not having a list of these are the 10 qualities that somebody has to have, like it's like don't sort of like tie yourself in. So let's bring this a bit together for you. So I want to have a look also, what is your heart sort of singing a message from your heart about you? And then I also want to see what messages are coming to your heart from the outside. So firstly, bringing all this together, what is your heart overall singing to you, pile 1? Lovers. Yeah, I think most of this is about a love relationship. Wheel of Fortune, Queen of Pentacles, 8 of Wands, Knight of Wands reversed. Okay. So I think your heart is saying to you that love will come. I think that's the promise, by being in the here and now, knowing, sinking in with synchronicities and timing. You've got a really good sense of that. That's going to bring it in, and you will find the person that you want to commit to. There's sort of like a non-committal energy here, either on your part or somebody else's, or there's something about the environment. You're going to find this. This is saying that is, you're heading towards what you can commit to by going in the direction of your bliss. And there's going to be a point, your heart says, where things start to really speed up. And it's saying, don't feel you have to rush it at that point. Again, remember the here and now. Don't try and turn that Six of Swords around and have a set destination. So I'm saying, don't have a set criteria around this. Just go for the feeling, what makes you feel free. And if you need to slow it down a bit, slow it down a bit. Like, always bring everything back to the here and now. So that's very positive for you if you just stand in that strength that Beyonce represents. So let's see what messages are coming to your heart from others. Page of Swords reversed, Five of Swords. Oh, this is this past energy, I think. There's definitely something still around. Ace of Wands and Ten of Wands. Okay, all right. So this is saying there's something still from this past energy. You're not really in it anymore, but it's still coming to you. You're still getting this. I sort of feel like, you're still getting the texts or the phone calls or people who've got a viewpoint or whatever. They're still trying to do that. And they're trying to get you to shift a position or an idea or an attitude in some way. So, but I think, this energy, it'll dissipate. With the Five of Swords there, it's dissipating even now, and it's just kind of jamming the frequency. What is meant to come in is a new passion. So I do think whatever this is, as I say, it doesn't have to be love, but there is a new passion, a new energy, a new creativity coming towards you. And what is going to happen at first, I think, is whatever this energy is might actually try and kind of overwhelm it. So I feel like whoever or whatever this is still in your life. It is dissipating, but the minute that you start to have someone else or start to do something else, that's when this energy and burden is going to come. But that is the signal to finally let it go, because you've got something new. I mean, it makes me think of that sort of thing when the best way to get over someone is to find someone new. It's sort of like that energy. Even if you were the one who left, getting over that thing is being in the here and now and going towards your joy with something new. So I definitely think for those of you that are in between relationships, one's coming in. But if this was about other things and it was your passion and your fire and your creativity, then that energy is coming towards you and opportunity is coming towards you. This is why it's important to be aware that there are also these other difficult energies that are kind of weighing it down, so that you can move forward, and you do it at your own pace. So that's interesting. So as I said, what I also wanted to do is kind of get some other information from what could be the other parts of the soundtrack. And I was thinking of 4 different things. The first is almost like the kind of energy around what might be the pop tracks, the sort of light, fun, engaging sort of, music. So like what energy around that, around what is light and fun and engaging in your heart at this point. Pile 1. And we get plum, which is hard to read. Choices, decisions, options. So yeah, this is you. It's interesting, we've got a very similar colour palette to this here and now. So some of the fun of this is to not have decided yet, to just be open to the choices. There's a sort of sense around what is fun and bright around you, is that you don't have to be held in with old belief structures or the past. And there's an energy of gold, prosperity, riches, wealth. Well, that sort of fits with the Beyonce colours. So there you go. These are the 2 important things, the here and now for you and the Beyonce energy. There's a lot around what is, exciting and fun for you that actually could bring in money, riches, and sort of long-term sort of stability, if that's what you're looking for. This is why I think that your heart is saying you don't have to have a set idea. You're heading in the right direction if you just keep your options open. And so the sort of pop fun energy for you is wanting you to sort of see it as freedom, see it as gold, see it as the positive, the sun that you're heading towards. So then let's say, okay, what's your spirit wanting to sort of tell you? So spiritual sort of like tracks, the spirit side of your heart, the message from that part of your musical soundtrack. Follow the path of your soul. Yeah, actually I'm going to put that over here with the gold. That's all you have to do, follow your bliss. It really is saying follow your bliss. in that sort of like classic sense that they talk about. And feel the power and blood of your ancestors. Now that's interesting because I think there could be family stuff here, but then I think this is also saying that within your ancestral background is also whatever gave you this strength. So it's find the blood and energy of your ancestors that allows you to follow your own path rather than any parts of like family, friendships or whatever that's got in the way. So your spirit is very, very strong, kind of ancient. It's again this sort of sovereign feeling that Beyonce gives off. So the spiritual side of your soundtrack wants you to really connect with who you truly are and then follow the path that is right for you. You'll always have within your heart's repertoire some sort of darker or more introspective side. So let's see what the tracks, the energy of the musical tracks that are a little bit darker or more introspective are for you at the moment. We have the end, death, closure, finality. So yes, something needs to end, something needs to move out of your life. You need to kind of mourn and let it go so that you can truly embrace the here and now. So there is something that's been difficult and it is still a little bit around you. So that's worth being aware of. And we have the wanting, greed, envy, ambition. Okay, I think somebody wants you, like whether it's a romantic or whether it's sort of like something around creativity or whatever this is, whatever this means to you, you need to end something because there's an energy that's quite competitive but also controlling and possessive around you. That's the sort of energy around this that you need to sort of process and let go. I don't think it's you. I think it's someone around you. I've very strongly felt that all the way through this. So last but not least, in terms of the other tracks, there's always like a couple of quirky sort of different tracks that your heart might want to talk about, the things that are unusual or a bit of a wild card. So let's see the energy for that for you. Treasure. Okay, so we have gold, so I'm going to put it on this side. There's something really wonderful meant for you here. This is a very positive reading, but you're coming out of something that you've got to let go. So there is a treasure and you need to protect that. Gold is really important here. I think the solar plexus chakra is very important for you, coming into your personal power. It's what your heart wants. And friendship, you need your friends. Okay, so the thing is, what are the right friends? If some of this energy was from friends who are trying to control you, then you don't need them. But you do have good friends as well, this is saying. And I think that kind of fits with the Four of Wands being there with the Love as a Battlefield, that there were good friends as well, but there was something about the people in this situation. So it's like ending with those who aren't good friends, but keeping those that are. You're heading towards who you are and they will accept that. So the song there is, the right people need to be with you. There is gold at the end of the rainbow. Follow your dream and keep your options open while letting go energies that want to hold you back. That's basically the theme of your soundtrack, and it's very, very positive. So let's just, to finish off, get you some stars to guide you, and then we're going to get a card from the Water Alchemy deck to bring together the alchemize the sort of water emotional energy of the heart. So firstly, around stars to guide you, we have the waxing crescent moon, the setting, set your intentions. Yeah, it's interesting actually. That's a kind of a dual message because it is saying keep your options open. I think what this is saying is it's like, it makes me think of something, and I might have mentioned this before. I remember in a sort of lecture that I went to in my work when somebody was talking about building careers, and they said that you can always have the light on the hill, and then if you know what the light on the hill is, which is the intention, there are many different ways of getting there. And so any choices that you make, you just assess them by, is this taking me closer to what I want? Is it lateral, but ultimately it's going to speed it up at another point, or is it taking me in the opposite direction? So I think there is a kind of a thing of keep your options open. Don't have a set list of criteria, but have an overall idea about what it would be to feel that you were in the power of your heart, and then set intentions very broadly on that level. We have the 8th house. Okay, so there is something a bit obsessive around you. I do think that you've got someone a bit obsessive around you, and you do need to kind of process that energy. Scorpio's house also says that you're very psychic, so let that energy come through, the transformative energy. And the 3rd house and how you communicate is going to be very key. Communicate what you want, get the right friends in, communicate what you're heading towards. Have fun, have the fun with this energy too. I think the 3rd house can be all about fun, and about and lightening up a little bit. That's important because there is something heavy that you've come out of. Okay, so pile one, let's just get you a water alchemy card to bring it all together. The overall theme, which is about you following your bliss, not what everybody else tells you to do, basically. How do we alchemize that energy for you? Rain. Okay, so this is picking up this energy. There, all the way through it's saying there is still something residual around. It could be a lost love, it could have been a fight with family, it could have been a fight with friends, whatever it is, and there's someone who's still very much around this. This is clearing the energy. It is saying that there is still that needs to do. If you do that, the rest will kind of look after itself. Your heart is kind of saying, you know how to follow your bliss. You've got a pretty good idea what the gold at the end of the rainbow is. And you do have some good friends around you, and you do have some good sort of like strength coming from your ancestors, all of that kind of thing. But to truly be in this space of the here and now and truly in your power, you do need to wash away this past energy because it's still around you. So I hope that resonates for you, because I think it's very, very positive. I just think it's sort of like highlighting that, yes, there was something that is still kind of there, but you are moving away from it, and this is like the final stages of it so that you can move towards what you really want. So I think your heart's pretty excited about the future, but it wants you to not get caught back in the past. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share, I'd love to hear in the comments. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. As I said in the introduction, of all the three that I think may get to something that's very deep and very sort of like soulful and sort of introspective of these readings, I think Pile 2, you're likely to be that group because you came to Patti Smith, who is sort of raw and real and deep and all of those sorts of things. And when I look at the songs that are associated with this reading, there is a sense of yearning for something or someone maybe that is no longer in your life, or that you feel should be in your life and you don't see enough of. And there's almost a progression from the boy is mine to I'll be missing you to I will always love you, of almost moving from a kind of possessive or I want to be with this person type love into a kind of almost unconditional love. So depending upon what we sort of see with a bit more tarot and so forth, it could be you coming to a depth of love that is not about the type of relationship, but is, as I say, unconditional. But there is a sense of yearning in these cards, I have to say. And if it's not for a love, if this is metaphoric, then there's something about something that is very true to you creatively or in other sorts of relationships, friendships and so forth, where there's a sense of separation and a sense of love beyond that. Now, it's interesting. I've been looking at the advice that the icons are saying. So firstly, Patti Smith says, Jesus died for somebody's sins, but not yours. I think there is a sense here about coming to terms with your own part in whatever has happened here. Like, were you possessive? Was someone possessive of you? Because it could be the other way around. It could be that someone treated you very possessively and that was too much and you detached. It could be around some sort of project or whatever that you wanted that was yours and someone took it, or that you felt should be yours but it needed to be shared. There's something here about what is your part of this, I think, that is connecting to that. We have learned to make peace with eternal dissatisfaction. I think this might be I'll be missing you. I feel like this is saying that there's somebody or something that is not going to be as much in your life as you would want it to be. So your heart is wanting to sort of like give you some sort of support for that and show you how to deal with that. And then we have the most powerful form of rebellion is of the spirit, and this is the unconditional love. This is whatever happens, your heart can always be open. It can always love that which is maybe not as much in your life as you would want, or not in the way that you would want, but it is still there. And even if this is sort of someone who is too possessive of you and misses you, you can say on an unconditional level you care about this person. And again, it doesn't have to be a love relationship. It could be any type of relationship, anything of the heart. But there's this progression, I feel. It's a progression from the sort of almost both sides working out what they want to possess to it didn't work out in some way. So one or other is sort of missing the person, but there is a kind of a spiritual acceptance operating. So interesting. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit more detail on each of these songs, because they're almost like the hits from your soundtrack, the things that people would know you for. And then we're going to bring it together, looking at what your heart overall is saying to you, and then also what messages are coming to your heart from other people. So let's firstly look at the boy is mine. So just to get a bit of a sense, like what kind of possessiveness are we looking at here? Is it your possessiveness? Is it somebody possessive of you? Or is it you seeing that sort of energy and it makes you almost detach a bit from sort of like profane love and want to move to sacred love potentially? So let's just see what the boy is mine is saying. Two of Swords reversed. Fool reversed. Chariot reversed. Okay, right. This looks like a decision wasn't made. So I think in whatever this is, whether it was like two parties interested in the same person and that person didn't make the decision, or it's, about some form of, as I say, creative or other heart-based thing, there was an avoidance of a decision. And there was almost a bit of cynicism around it with the Fool reversed. It was very emotionally all over the shop as well too, with the Chariot reverse. So a kind of like a mix of cynicism and emotional imbalance stopped a decision being made. So I feel like whatever this is, I feel like if it was that you were interested in someone and someone else was, I doubt that either of you ended up with the person. That's kind of what that looks like. Or there's sort of like, even if you didn't end up with the person, somebody else did, that there's something equivocal about them being with that person anyway. It's like there's an energy mismatch. And if it isn't around a love relationship, it could be decisions around a friendship where there's a kind of a possessive energy going on within a group. And it's stopping any clear decision operating. But whatever it was, it got stuck. It got stuck. So I feel like whatever this is unresolved. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to feel bad about it. But it is sort of understanding that it's unresolved. And that might be why we've got then I'll be missing you. There's sort of a sense of like the heart is still yearning for whatever was hoped for in that first part. So let's see what else we get about this particular song on your soundtrack. Two of Wands. Actually, sorry, I just realised it's very similar. I'm just going to riffle shuffle one more time. I did riffle shuffle in between, but the next card looked very similar to another reading, and I felt like that's wrong. I feel like I maybe didn't riffle shuffle enough. That didn't, so it's just getting to that part of the thing. So I just want to do that to make sure that we're not carrying over energy that isn't right. So I'll be missing you, Spirit. Like now that I've riffle shuffled again, can we get the energy around I'll be missing you? Death reversed. Strength reversed. King of Swords reversed. Okay. There's definitely a reluctance to make a decision. So it could be on your part letting go. It could be somebody not wanting to let you go when you've sort of said no, that it hasn't worked out. If somebody wanted to possess you, or if you felt that the energy was not right around this. You've got the lack of decision here. We've got another lack of decision here. It's not a strong position to be in. And there's something in all of this that is not honest. So I don't think it's you. I don't think you're being dishonest. I think other people are being dishonest. And it could, in fact, be somebody that you were interested in, someone else was interested in, that either that person was dishonest or the other person was dishonest. But I feel like there's a sense here that your heart is saying, this was just not right. Whatever this was just not right. The fact that the decision couldn't be made. I sort of think of that concept that a lack of decision is actually a decision. So it could be that you were very interested in someone, but they'd never decide to commit, and there were other people around them, and you're still missing them, but they're still not the sort of person to trust because they're not going to make the decision. So I think there's definitely a sort of sense here of you need to kind of let go of something from the past, whether it's love or whether it's something else, because it's just not honest, and it almost feels like it's a bit manipulative. Now, you can, of course, forgive and walk away with I will always love you, or there could be a sort of sense of like getting back to your own heart and your own spiritual energy. So let's see what your heart is trying to say to you about that. Nine of Wands. Six of Cups. Page of Pentacles. Okay. So this is where we see something that is actually a more positive energy. It's saying that with the Nine of Wands, if this is someone you cared about, or if it's friendships you cared about, whatever it is, and I think it is, you can still go the distance in caring about the person. So your heart isn't saying stop caring about them, but it is saying you need to kind of reconnect with what you were looking for in terms of love, care, support, and so forth. Something that you wanted from when you were very young, and think about what that looks like. It really does feel like something where you thought there was a relationship, you thought there was a connection that was either going to be the right love for you or the right friend or the right business partnership or whatever it is, but that person would never commit to it, and there was something not right in that energy. And it's saying you can still care about or like that person, but you've got to go back to first principles about what did you want before all this happened, because you can do it yourself, and therefore bring in something that is going to be able to commit and something that is able to manifest. Because this is the sort of sense. It's like there's a yearning for something that was never going to manifest because the other person or the other people involved were not being honest with themselves or with you. So let's see how that all comes together with the overall message that your heart is trying to give to you at the moment. Pile 2. 7 of Pentacles, the Empress reversed, King of Pentacles, 3 of Wands, 5 of Cups. Okay, all right. So the good news is, and it's saying here that you don't have to have ill feeling to this person. You don't even have to sort of, because I do think they just might be dishonest with themselves rather than meaning to be dishonest, because it does seem to be saying, you can continue to care about the person or whatever it is, that it's not, you don't have to completely detach. But it is saying that something that is meant to be more material and grow is meant to come for you. And again, whether this is about love or a creative project or something like that, if it was a creative project, then there's a better option if you go back to first principles, and it will bring in the growth, definitely, with the 7 of Pentacles and with the King of Pentacles. If it's a love relationship, you're meant to bring that in. But your heart is saying you're not nurturing yourself enough. So because you're kind of caught in this energy, it's like one of the reasons to forgive, to love at a distance, but not to kind of pursue this or want this anymore, is because to not do that, you're not nurturing yourself. And in doing that, you're blocking your own capacity to bring this in. If you can understand that and nurture yourself a bit more, then you will be on the right track and you can let go of the emotional disappointments. So I think your heart is just saying, while you're still trying to work that through, you can't get to what would be right, but it's not going to help you to be angry at the person either. It's like your emotion or your feeling, whether it was love as in romance or some other thing, that was true to you, and there's no reason to let that go. But what there is a reason to let go of is the sense of wanting an outcome there, because there's something else. And once you start to nurture yourself and head towards that outcome, you're going to bring in what you want in whatever way this is, and something that's going to last, something that is going to commit, and all of that kind of thing. So let's see what is coming. That's your heart's message to you. Let's see what the external world is saying to your heart at the moment. 6 of Wands reversed, 5 of Pentacles reversed, 2 of Pentacles, Hermit reversed. Okay, all right. So some of this is this energy. There are people around you who are not recognizing you at the moment. And they're almost taking advantage of the fact that you want connection with others, so you don't want to be alone. So this is why your heart really wants you to know that you can move forward. That's what will bring in what you want. There's something that's been damaging your heart that has to do with not being recognized, not being seen, whatever it is. And it kind of has got away with it because you don't want to be alone. But the external world is also saying that if you sort of come out of this energy, sort of out of this particular pattern, then you will have options. It's almost like it's just waiting to come in, but it's like while you're caught in this energy, it won't come in. So this is really like all you have to do is go, I can love or care for this person or this prospect or whatever it was, but I can accept it's not mine to move forward with, and therefore I can care about it, but I can move forward and find what is yours, and then you will find it. It's all that you need to do. But while you stay in this energy, it's not going to break through. If you're trying to be in the energy to get them to finally go, yes, you are the one, or yes, this is meant to be, or yes, we could work together, it's not going to happen. And it's almost like this energy, I don't know that they're doing it consciously, but I think there's almost an energy where they play with people and won't make decisions, because that always means that they're they're in control or something like that. So there's very much an evolutionary thing here for you to open up and have the choices. That's your heart says it's all there. You've just got to do that. But you do need to go to the depths and get really raw and real with yourself about this to be able to do it. So very interesting. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the different sorts of other songs that could be on your soundtrack, and we're looking at different types of music. So I'm starting first with some cards to look at almost pop tracks. So the tracks that are a little bit lighter, a little bit more fun, a little bit more sort of engaging, some energy to focus on that might help you get towards what you really want. So for those tracks on your soundtrack, we have, there's the Amber, Ancestry, Healing the Past, History. Okay. You could actually, in a sense, in a soundtrack, have a pop song to kind of break this energy. And in fact, that may be a very good clue for you. If you could almost look at this in a very light-hearted way, if you could get it to be light as opposed to sort of heavy energy and kind of almost get a kind of Taylor Swift type energy, like, have the song that lets the thing go, like that looks at the history and lets it go. There's something in that will release it. And Amber kind of connects to solar plexus energy, so a sense of getting your power back. And we have Lime, collaboration, cooperation, groups. Okay, so once you've done that, you're going to draw in, excuse me, people that you need. Like you don't have to be stuck in this to not be alone, because once you break away from that, you're actually going to bring in the people you want. And like thinking about that, like thinking about the fun and the lightness that would bring that in, and the heart chakra energy with, a green color here, that will bring it in, and getting to that unconditional love, the heart chakra, to let things go, to let the new in. This is like songs that are about, being together, working together, having fun together, all of those sorts of energies. So that's the pop songs. Then there's also, spiritual songs. So the ones that kind of get to the calling of your spiritual heart. So let's see what that is for your soundtrack at the moment, pile 2. Live in this world as a dreamer. Okay, yeah, get back to what you wanted when you were young, what you dreamed of. Like there's something really, as I say, almost cynical about this energy. I think it's kind of affected your sort of self-esteem and belief in yourself. But if you go back to your dream, that's what you can bring in. And it gives you back the control. So your dreams, and maybe it's also saying pay attention to your dreams. It will give you some messages. And your deepest desires constrain you. Let them go to clear your mind. Yeah, there's a desire here, I think, to be seen, to be recognized, but I feel like it's just... you probably see this situation or this person in a way that they're never going to be, and they're not right. They might have appeared to be what you were looking for, but they really aren't. Once you let that go and go back to the original dream, that's what's going to bring it in. But that's the spiritual side of this. You need to understand that desire can sometimes be in the wrong place. But if you go back to first principles of the dream, then you can get to what you need. Which leads nicely to the introspective and possibly darker sort of tracks on your soundtrack. So the shadow energy that you might need to understand or heal. And we've got the Tempest, movement, change, destruction. Yeah, you need to move out of this. This is a tower thing. In fact, the fact that it's like the tower, some of you, this may have been something where it felt like a soulmate or a twin flame, but it actually wasn't. So that may, and to bring the right one in, you need to kind of let it all fall down. So there's something here. You need to go into Patti Smith's energy, to kind of clear that energy out. So there would be a very Patti Smith-esque song on your soundtrack, which really got to the core of it. And the Judge, retribution, triumph, discipline. Yeah, I think this is saying you need to be able to judge this, but I think you have to be careful. Retribution is not going to work. This is saying kind of unconditional love, to release it is the way to go. That's how you triumph. That's how you can make the decision. If you get angry about this, and you may go through some anger with the Tempest there, but once you've done it, let it go. Let it go so that you can be in this unconditional space. Because otherwise, they say, when you're angry or you want revenge, somebody lives rent-free in your head. That's it, and there's another one about, it's like taking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. So there's something about that for you to go into it and then let it go and get to this unconditional space. And so lastly, there's usually also maybe some quirky or experimental stuff on a soundtrack or on an album from an artist. So let's see what wild cards are also relevant to your heart's messages to you, pile 2. Protection from physical or emotional harm or injury. So this is saying that you are being protected. Spiritually, you'll be protected. And even this reading, I think, is meant to be a bit of a protection for you. And self-care. Do things to preserve or improve your mental or physical health. Yeah, like you're being protected. You are meant here to do some healing. There is some healing necessary, but all the preconditions are there for you, and you are going to be protected as you go through it. So let's see how the stars can guide you, pile 2. Cardinal, initiating. You need to initiate this. It's not the other person or the other situation, or they're not going to shift this. They're quite happy with this sort of indecisive thing. They're getting something from that. You need to initiate the shift. New moon, the seeding, plant what you desire. Yeah, think about what you desire again in first principles, and also go within and reflect. That's where you're going to clear this energy. And Gemini. Then there's the capacity to get out and have a bit of fun. Cooperation, connection with others, with groups, communication, all of those things will really help. But I think it's like, first of all, no, you need to initiate. Go within to heal yourself so that you can initiate. Then you can bring in that sort of sense of community and communication. So to finish off, I want to alchemize this for you with the water alchemy deck. So because water is very strongly connected to emotions, which is connected to the heart. So what is your soundtrack overall meant to alchemize for your heart? Steam. That's interesting. I think this is saying that this part where you need to go within and you need to understand what happened is necessary, because steam here is sort of like heat with water, and the heat is often anger or the issues. I think there is something that you need to let go. This is why Patti Smith is such a good icon in a sense for this. You need to go within and do that, because that will detach you from something that was not going to work for you. But you don't have to then go into retribution. It's sort of like steam then evaporates, then all the energy evaporates. Once you've sort of allowed yourself to feel that, then you can let it go. So I think this is just a process. Your heart is saying, yep, something was not right, something was not fair, something was not what it appeared to be, whatever it is, and it will stay stuck there until you make the decision that you need to go. And what you need to do that is understand that something wrong happened here. Get angry, but do it within, and then let that go so that you can move into unconditional love and bring in what you want. So I hope that resonates for you, pile 2. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So you came to the reading with Elvis Presley, so the original rock and roll king, the iconoclast, the person who broke all the rules. We've got breaking all the rules here. I always think it's amazing. Spirit's amazing, because I just shuffled and asked for the 3 soundtrack songs. I didn't know how it was going to connect, because that's so perfect for the sort of the kind of almost principle of Elvis Presley, because he did break many rules and he did sort of push many boundaries. So there's something about your heart and your energy and the messages from your heart that are about that. So I think it's also about, you know, something soulful, something very, very sort of primal as well, highly entertaining. There's a lot here about how to navigate your heart, really, because we've got one song, Weak, which I'm not really familiar. This is SWV, but I'm not really kind of au fait with this song, but I think it would probably give the sense of like a love that makes you sort of feel weak, or something that makes you feel very much almost overwhelmed by something. And I feel like that connects to his advice, never let reality stand in your way, which is not to say that whatever it is that makes you feel weak or sort of overwhelmed or emotionally sort of very entranced is not realistic, but there's a sort of a sense of there's an overwhelming thing here. Now, this doesn't have to be a love relationship. It could be a friendship. It could be a creative project. It could be some great love you have for the world that sometimes overwhelms you, sort of humanitarian, philanthropic sort of energy, but there's sort of something that's overwhelming here, I think. Then we have don't let go of love on Vogue. So there's a sense here about making sure that you connect and stay with something that matters to you. And these two things could be very connected. We'll sort of see as we go through. That probably connects a bit with always keep heaven on speed dial, like know that your highest aspirations are what you're heading towards. And then breaking all the rules fits with you are king. So in doing this, you do it your way. You're not like whatever this is, even if you feel a bit emotionally overwhelmed, even if your heart feels overwhelmed sometimes and you're not sure how to really bring something in, you've got a sense of tenacity around it, and you're not going to be constrained by other people's rules. And that fits a lot with Elvis, really. That's a very strong message from your heart about your own bravery and your own, actually in a sense, the courage to be weak, the courage to be emotionally open, because he was very emotionally open with what he's saying. So, but he was also breaking the rules. So, and went right to the heart and how he expressed himself. So there's something about that kind of energy in your heart and in your soundtrack. So what we're going to do is we're going to go one by one for the songs, and then we're going to and see what else we can get as information about that. And then we're going to bring it together with what your heart is trying to say to you overall, and also what is being said to your heart by external factors. So firstly, around this weak energy, which I think is sort of something overwhelming, something very powerful emotionally that your heart wants you to look at. Hermit, King of Pentacles reversed, Ten of Swords. Wow, okay, all right. So for some of you looking at this, there may have been something very dramatic that didn't work out, or that you couldn't sort of like really make last, that has made you withdraw quite a bit. Like this actually looks like withdrawing to heal after something didn't work out. So the week here might literally be that your heart is saying take a bit of a rest. Before you do anything else, don't sort of step out, because something didn't go right. Something at its worst, somebody really did you wrong. And maybe it was very spiritually disconnected from you, very materialistic, very manipulative. So there's something like that. So I don't think this is actually talking about, to be honest, when I look at these cards, talking about something that's overwhelming you now. I think it's something that was wrong, something done that was wrong. So allow yourself time to rest and get over it. And it's a spiritual journey. Your spiritual journey will do it. But there was something not right here. So whether that was sort of someone who did you wrong in terms of love or anything that matters to your heart, the worst is over with the Ten of Swords reversed, but it wasn't fair. It wasn't right. So there's something there. So, and that may be why I felt the never let reality stand in your way, because I feel as though this was not right, and you've got to understand that it wasn't even real. And that then allows you, and what has been said to you is real. That allows you to go within and find what is real. Pile 3. So I'm sorry, but I think that you've been through something. Let's see, don't let go with love. So I don't think this will be saying that you should hold on to this person if it's a person, but there could have been somebody who got involved in something you cared about or loved and did the wrong thing by you, but you may be able to still resurrect the love. That's a possibility with this. Let's see what don't let go of love is as a hit tune on your soundtrack, what your heart's trying to say. Hierophant, Seven of Pentacles, the Empress. For some of you, this may not be a love relationship. I feel like for some of you, this is something that matters really to your heart, that's creative or business oriented or something, because this is like creativity, abundance. This is like almost being within an industry, and this is something that is hard to, at the moment, get a return on investment for. But it's like there's still something there. It's like understanding a little bit more of how to be creative within the environment you're in. So it's possible for some of you, this was something very creative, and close to your heart that you somebody did you over on, that made you feel that you couldn't do it. But this is saying you can. It's just that at the moment, the approach you're having hasn't borne fruit, but it's understanding the environment you're in. Now, if this is around a love relationship, you may detach from somebody to heal. So, and it might have been something where there was a commitment, but these two together, for some of you, could be something like, you have divorced or something. I don't think this is something coming up. I think it's something that's happened. So I'm not predicting for somebody that they're going to get divorced if there hasn't been any sense of that. So if that's not the case, it's not about that. It's got to do with with sort of some other thing that hasn't been fair. If you're happily married, don't worry about it. But for some of you, this might be indicating something like that happened, a divorce or a separation or something like that. And there is still something where you're kind of clinging on to some of this, but it's don't let go of the concept of love and what you want from love and what will be nurturing. But this thing was not going to do it, I think, is what this is saying. So then breaking all the rules. It's interesting because we've got the Hierophant there, which is very much about rules. Some of this might have been around something that you cared about or a relationship you cared about, but somehow culturally or spiritually or whatever, this was not allowed. This was stopped in some way. So when we get to breaking all the rules, what's that all about for you? 10 of Wands reversed, 8 of Swords, Ace of Wands. Okay, yeah. All right, so whatever this is, whether this is a love relationship or whether it's creative, this is saying that the only prison that you have is your own thoughts around this. Understanding this and letting go of that which didn't work so that you can then understand what to do. It relieves the burden for you. But you have to follow your creative ideal or your love ideal or your passion. For some of you, it may be, the other way I could read this is that, you've been sort of constrained by, a very conventional, family background or cultural background, but you love differently or your identity is shifting, any of those sort of things. This is definitely saying that once you free yourself and follow that, then breaking the rules is the way to do it, because there's something a bit iconoclastic about you. There's something that's different. And it almost feels like you tried to fit into the conventional and that weakened you. And you cared about what you were doing here, but there's a different way of nurturing yourself and understanding the environment you're in. And part of it is about being really true to yourself. And if it was a relationship, it's drawing the right relationship in, because it was trying to fit into the other one was not the right energy for you. So let's see overall what the messages of your heart are in this soundtrack. Pile 3. The Moon reversed. Ace of Pentacles. You've got a double blessing here. Page of Pentacles reversed. 6 of Swords reversed. 8 of Cups reversed. Okay, all right. So something, if it hasn't already, something's coming to the surface that will make you realize there's a new opportunity to create, to ground something, to make it happen. The Moon reverse is something is going to become clearer. So I think maybe even in considering this sort of reading, you kind of start to get that aha moment that you are the one who can be the initiator of what you want here. That's possible for you to do. And it's interesting is with the Page of Coins reversed or Page of Pentacles reversed, because I usually think of that as, you haven't worked out what you actually want to materialize. But the fact is with that and the 6 of Swords reversed, I think this is the breaking the rules. I think you've got to let go of a concept of following the rules in some way around relationships, around what you want to create, around your career, whatever it is that your heart is talking to you about. You have to be prepared to be the initiator. And this is what Elvis Presley was. If you think about it, like, he was so different and he did break all the rules and it shifted music forever. So this is the energy we're talking about, whether it's creative or in love. There's something here where you can't go by the rule book that everybody expected. It's not the right one for you. And you're going to become clearer and clearer. Your heart's becoming clearer and clearer on what that is. And that's how you become the initiator. And there's a double blessing. But if you stay stuck in wanting to fit in with patterns that aren't right for you, because you feel like that somehow, well, at least I know the rules, that's going to block the creativity for you. That's what this is saying. You've got to be in that space of the new where you don't really know what's happening and you can't plan. You've just got to go with it. So that's interesting. So let's see what the external world is saying to your heart. Because I think there's a lot about your internal love, heart, present, emotion, whatever it is, against an external world that is maybe not the right place for you in a way. Which is not to say that you don't belong in the world, but some of the people in some of the industry or some of the sort of relationships around you are not the ones that are going to allow you to be this true original. So let's see what the world is saying to your heart. 2 of Cups. Wheel of Fortune reversed. 2 of Swords. Page of Wands reversed. Okay. I think that in its own way, the world is saying to you, you have to take responsibility for the decision. It's sort of like aces to twos. And it's interesting that then if you look at the two aces, like you've got wands and pentacles, and then you've got cups and swords, it's like the first two steps cover all the gamuts of your life. What do you want to materialize? What are you passionate about? How would that emotionally work for you? And what decisions do you need to make? What beliefs do you need to have? And they're early, and it's again saying early. There's an opportunity now. For whatever reason, there's an opportunity. And if this has been about love and you've held on to something that wasn't right, and you felt betrayed or something with that, then this is saying something new can come in. Once you decide, something new can come in. You've got to decide for that. It's also saying that until you do that, until you take on the decisions, then it's like your wish to express your passion. It's like the wheel isn't going to work for you until you make the decision. This is about you. You have to do it. You have to take the risk to be true to you. It's a very, very strong, consistent message across this. So let's get a little bit more detail. So the other thing that I was looking at doing is in any soundtrack or any sort of album of music, there's different types and styles of music or types of energy. So we're going to start firstly almost with the pop side. So almost the pop side of Elvis Presley. What is the kind of light-hearted, engaging, sort of charismatic sort of energy from your heart that your heart wants to talk to you about or remind you of? So we have Amber. This actually came up in one of the others, ancestry, healing the past history. So there's something like what I said in that, and I think it's a very similar energy to this actually, because it feels like there's something that was wrong. You need to let that go to move towards what's true to you. I feel like it's a very Taylor Swift type energy with Amber here, which is using music. It's almost like you write poetry or write lyrics or whatever to talk about what hasn't worked so that you can let it go. So there's something in that. And Amber being sort of in the sort of yellow spectrum, we've got the sort of solar plexus to get back your power. Your personal power is through looking at the past, understanding it, almost cataloguing it. And in this pop vein, it's like you can make it lighter than what it probably felt. And we have plum, and that's also came up in one of the others. This is about choices, decisions, and options. Once you do that, you have all the options. It's just like once you put the past in the past, you have the options. So this is about, and this with this sort of colouring, connecting to your sort of higher level, connecting, like keeping heaven on speed dial. What are the options you really want? Who's really you? Because you're meant to be the true original, pile 3. So that's the sort of pop energy. What about spiritual songs that kind of, touch the spirit? What's the energy that your heart wants to say to you that way? A message is trying to reach you. Yeah. Listen, the options, you're going to see more and more of the options. This is keep heaven on speed dial. You're very spiritually connected. It's part of it. It's probably why you are the great iconoclast. You're meant to bring in something new, whatever this is. Really pay attention to dreams, to sort of downloads, all of that kind of thing. And this also came up, one of the others, feel the power and blood of your ancestors. This is something I'd say there's a spiritual connection that has come down through your ancestral line. You may have to break away from certain things depending upon whatever this energy was, but there's something in your ancestral line that helps bring you power and connect to that because you are a powerful person. I mean, I'm thinking there, I feel a bit, because this is in the spiritual realm, it's like a lot of Elvis Presley, like he imbued a lot of his music with gospel because he sort of grew up with that sort of music. So there's something about that. There is something of value in the past and the old traditions. It's just what you do with them, how you rework them. So take from the past when it works, but let go of what it isn't so that you have the options and pay attention to your inner knowing because it's very profound. Okay, so when we're talking about the inner knowing, we also can think about the more introspective music, sometimes the sort of shadow elements that we look at in our heart. So let's see what we have there for you. The union, consent, sacrifice, companionship. I do think you're meant to have love or connection in whatever this is, whether it was a love relationship or whether it's connection, commitment and so forth for a creative project. You're meant to have that. But I think there's a shadow energy around that for the moment because of what's happened. So it's exploring what you do want. So you make the choice, I think. And the powerful, tenacity, control, knowledge. Yeah, you are really powerful. So you've felt weakened by something, but that's not who you are. You are king, as it says here. You're powerful. And once you realize that and how connected you are, you can bring in and what you want, because you're meant to bring in something new, different, attractive, all of those sorts of things. So understanding your power and how in a way you've used your power in the wrong context, and that's why you haven't got what you wanted. If you switch that up and you start to decide what you do want, you can bring this in. Elvis Presley was incredibly powerful in terms of his charisma and his music and the impact that he had on things. So this is the energy that you have in your heart. What we also have in an album of songs is usually something a bit quirky or different, and we have that in our heart as well too. So let's get a couple of wild cards as well for you. Star. Light in the darkness, wisdom shining through ignorance. Yeah, so you'll get to it. A light will shine. You have a very strong interconnection, and I think you're meant to be a star, just as Elvis was in some way. A star in your own romance, a star in your career, whatever it might be. And follow your North Star, I get as well from that. And finances, something affecting your financial situation. So there's something around all this that's had an impact on your material world as well too. But I feel like you can be a star. I think that's actually a very strong sense that once you start to own that, you can make money. I mean, Elvis Presley certainly did. So there's a sense of bounty there, but you have to follow your North Star to get it. You have to be you. You know, you are the true original, as I say. So let's get you a little bit of star energy, astrology energy, to also guide your way. Leo, yeah, the star. You're meant to be seen in some way. In whatever that means to you. Have pride in yourself. Yeah, pride is an issue here, I think, in all the various ways that we think of it. We have sextile. This will be easier than you think. You know, like it's just, you've got to kind of realize that you are the person who can initiate. We will have a look at the planets for that. We also have the 6th house. There's something about your career, money, service to others. What you do will help others. It's one of the reasons why you're going to be supported. Let's just see what planets are in sextile, what energies work really well for you together to become this new person. Jupiter, well, that's certainly going to bring money in, expansion, luck, all of that kind of thing. Jupiter and Chiron, that comes out of healing. There's something in what you've gone through in the end that will be part of your message, I think, and will heal others. So that's one of the reasons it's being supported, because the journey you've been through is important and will help and heal others. Okay, so to finish off, I'm just drawing a card from the Water Alchemy deck, because I feel like water, cups energy, heart energy, and alchemy. This is all about, you know, a soundtrack of your heart is an alchemizing process. So what would your heart like to say in terms of transformation and alchemy for you at this point, pile 3? Evaporation. So I think that is showing that this is a process for you to let that which was not emotionally good for you evaporate, so that you have clarity. There's still some stuff remaining, but you know, when you have water out and it evaporates, lets it into the air, lets it dissipate, then that energy can be gone, so that you can move forward and work out what you need. But there's also, I think, a double message in this, because there's also protecting the emotional stuff that you do want, because what you don't want to do is have water out in the sun for too long and then have it evaporate if you need that water. So I think there's almost a sense of bringing a bit of kind of positive discrimination into this. What are the emotional energies you would want to evaporate and go, to alchemize and come into yourself, but also protect the water that is the creative juices for you moving forward. So I hope that resonates for you, pile 3. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.